Have you seen the thing about the book from 1953 that talks about Elon wanting to go to Mars? This is in a Wernher von Braun book, Mars Project. Elon is the elected leader of the Martian government, serving a 5-year term. Elon and their cabinet administrator have laws enacted by 2 houses of parliament. Someone pulled the original German manuscript out of the archives and debunked this myth, only to confirm that von Braun did indeed predict he'd be called Elon. And Elon writes, how can this be real? An 1889 novel called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey was written by Ingersoll Lockwood. He would go on to write another book called The Last President in 1900. Mystery which involves the Trump family, Nikola Tesla, time travel, and dark forces.
Wow.
Dun, dun, dun. Follows the adventures of a young aristocrat named Baron Trump living in a castle named Castle Trump. The character is described as intelligent, curious, and somewhat arrogant, guided by his mentor, Dawn. Baron embarks on fantastical journeys, including one to discover a magical portal in Russia. Is this a simulation?
Oh, okay. So this is going to be one of those kind of videos. Sick. All right, and I'm in. Let's go!
What the?
You weren't born into freedom. You were born into captivity so sophisticated that you never even notice the chains. They don't treat you like a citizen. They treat you like livestock. You're fed, distracted, managed, not because they care, but because a well-fed animal works harder. In ancient times, they used whips. Today, they use debt. They use laws. They use manipulation. They realize something. Slaves who think they're free are the most productive. So they gave you 2 political parties, both owned by the same donors. They gave you jobs, but took your time. They gave you choices, but rigged every outcome. You are not governed. You are farmed. Every tax you pay, every vote you cast, every hour you work, feeds a system designed to extract maximum value from your life while convincing you it was your idea. Your school taught you obedience. Your job teaches you silence. Your media teaches you fear. And your prison is invisible. They don't need bars. They don't need to chase you because you never run. The gates are open. You just stopped looking for them.
Can't argue with that one. I got nothing. He's right. The weird voice coming out of the picture box is right.
There's a lake there called Lake Baikal, and it is, I found this out, the deepest freshwater lake on Earth.
How deep?
Over 5,000 feet. 1982.
Okay.
This is a classified document that got released to the public in 2000, and it was in the Soviet government, like a classified document. So these Soviet divers in 1982 were doing these diving routines or whatever in the lake, in Lake Baikal, and they're down, was it 52 meters or something, 100 or 50 meters, 164 feet down, and then all of a sudden, out of the depths, they said there were these 6 humanoid creatures, and they described them as wearing these tight, metallic-looking suits, 9 feet tall, and wearing like these like weird jelly helmets.
So they're just floating in the water.
They just come up as they're like here, and they just come up.
Scariest possible thing you could see at that moment, for sure.
And what these divers decided to do, apparently, as like a what the heck is that? They like had a net or something, and so they tried to catch one of them, and then like all these things did something to where it caused this force field and shot all these divers up to the surface like almost instantly. They all got the bends.
Oh no.
There was 7 divers. 3 of them ended up dying.
Oh my gosh.
And then the rest were basically silenced from ever speaking about what happened.
That's why when people are like, "Hey, Rob, let's go swimming. Let's go out on the boat. Let's go hang out and splash around in mud puddles, rainwater. Hey, let's just take a bath and relax. Put some rose water in there, some oatmeal, a little bubble solution." No, I don't want to be underwater at all. I take quick showers. I keep my ass out of the water. Because you tell me not to worry. Sure, there are sharks and crazy in the ocean. But you see that scene where Freddy's hand came up through the in the bathtub? And he like grabbed the chick and just, bah! And no, I'm good. I've seen 0 good things come from a person being underwater, even casually. So I'm going to stay on top of the water or out of the water completely. No, thank you. Nope.
This is the best proof of flat Earth that no one's talking about. Ever wonder how you're watching a live stream from the other side of the planet with 0 delay? Everyone assumes it's satellites beaming signals through space, but here's the twist. Nearly all of that data actually moves through cables under the ocean. Yep, giant internet wires stretching across the seafloor, carrying 99% of the world's data. If satellites were so advanced and powerful, why even bother laying thousands of miles of underwater cables? Now here's where it gets interesting. What if the whole satellite in space thing is more theater than tech? Think about it. There's no live satellite footage of your Netflix binge. Your GPS, ground towers, plane communication still relies on towers and dead reckoning, not some floating dish in orbit. Let's go deeper. Why is it called geography and not heliography? Why do planes fly in straight paths over a flat plane? Why is the horizon always horizontal, not curved? Words reveal more truth than we realize. Still not convinced? Lake Baikal in Russia is nearly 400 miles long. If the Earth curved like we're told, that lake should dip over 19 miles from end to end. But it's flat. Cars drive across it when frozen, and there's no hint of a bulge. And don't even get me started on Polaris, the North Star. If we're spinning, wobbling, and zipping through space at breakneck speeds, why is that one star always in the exact same spot? Real engineers, real pilots, and even quantum scientists, they model everything on a flat Earth. They have to, because reality works that way.
I'm not going to comment on the flat Earth thing. Oh, that's kind of cool. The light through my ear. Woo. I'm not going to comment on the flat Earth aspect of the video. You guys know how I feel about that. If you don't, go watch more videos of mine. I talk about it all the time. Not for me. But I will say that, like, I'm not an Elon hater. I don't hate the guy. I respect him and the things that he has brought to market and the technologies and the things he has done and all that. I think he's dope in most cases. However, I've said this from the beginning. I feel like Starlink satellites are part of Project Bluebeam. I don't think that they're just to give internet to people, because they're always shooting up more and more and more and more, and eventually the Earth is going to be covered in them. I feel like it's going to be the scene from Spider-Man when Mysterio basically projected all the things with the drones. I feel like the satellites are going to be projecting shit and are going to make us see things in the sky. Sees things. It's going to make us seize things. See things in the sky that aren't there to fool us into submitting to a one world global overreaching government. But that's just me. What do you think?
But I'm completely done. I mean, totally and completely done with the left versus right game in politics, because it is now just so abundantly obvious that there is something much more sinister that is happening. When we elect politicians, they're on a platform, they say this, they perform, they promise us this is going to be the mandate. I'm going to clean up DC. And then we send them to DC and something happens. Something magical happens. And suddenly that magical thing is that really nothing they said they were going to do happens. The world really is becoming a stage. Maybe it always was a stage. And like I said, it doesn't matter who you elect. So no, there's no pivot. Like, I wish it was Kamala Harris. No, okay? It does not matter who you elect. It seems to be the same thing that we see over and over again. Politicians selling out the people that voted for them. I think Dave Smith, you guys know I love The Problem with Dave Smith, is his podcast, summed it up really well when he looked at just the last 30 days of politics and said this. Take a listen.
I couldn't imagine whoever else the director of national intelligence was going to be being better than Tulsi Gabbard. I couldn't imagine whoever the head of the FBI being better than Kash Patel, or whoever the health secretary being better than Bobby Kennedy. But at the same time, you know, you got Tulsi, cheering on leveling an apartment building. Literally, as they're saying to him, "Hey, we traced Missile Guy back to his apartment building where his girlfriend lives. So we leveled the building," and she's sending like thumbs up emojis, and saying, "Job well done, team." Every time I hear from Kash Patel lately, it's never about the criminals in government anymore. This guy was on a damn media tour for 2 years. Everything he ever said was that there's all these criminals in the FBI. We got to get these people who committed all these heinous crimes against our republic. Not talking about that anymore today. Now he's talking about bringing down drug dealers and sex traffickers. It's like, okay, but that's not what you were saying before. And Bobby Kennedy is out fighting the real health crisis, which is anti-Semitism. So I'm just saying, looking around the room, looking around the administration at this point, You know, I think we got the positives out of Donald Trump that we would get. But man, this all just points in such a bad direction. And it's disappointing. It's just really disappointing. It's I knew I would be disappointed, but it is on the level of a Greek tragedy that these guys had this mandate and this opportunity, and they're just it all up.
Yeah, you know what? Now that Dave Smith puts it that way, I feel like maybe it's not us that's pivoting, but it's them. Like there's just some magic pivot that happens when you get to DC. And to build on that, may I ask the question, who the heck is controlling RFK Jr.'s X account? Am I allowed to ask that question? Because I quite literally was so inspired by this man. So many people were, obviously, because he was a major piece of the puzzle in terms of bringing people to the center, which needed to happen. It needed to happen that all of us were brought towards the center so that we could recognize where the real evil exists, right? And it's not left versus right. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's whatever the hell is going on in DC versus the rest of us.
That's pretty crazy when you have someone like Candace Owens, who is, I'm not super big in politics, but basically someone who has been such a voice, right? And such a like authority figure for like the conservative side of things. And then she gets signed to the Daily Wire, which is a conservative news network, media company, and then quits for whatever reason and starts her own shit. And then starts talking about like, it's all the same. It doesn't matter who you vote for. It's all going to come to the same place, minus, you know, small things along the way. But you think about this, like, yeah, like who's running it? Like who, because people go in with their own views and their own goals, their own beliefs. And then once they get into the White House, once they get into Congress and all these places, it's like they just stop doing what they were doing. Like, was it an act where they just lying to get votes and then now they're just showing their true colors? Or are they basically being threatened and controlled and stopped from doing what they originally planned to do by some more powerful, more sinister, like higher up agency or club, I guess, of people? So the Rothschilds? Is it lizard people? Who is it? I don't know. But this makes a lot of sense. At the end of the day, it's us versus them when it comes to finding out the truth, getting things done. It's like striving for the betterment of humanity rather than the betterment of individuals who are in a place to profit and also benefit off of all of us. So, I don't know, man. World's weird. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Comment below. Let me know what you want to see in the next one. Peace.